What is going on, everybody? It's Lazivo here, and I got a kind of a neat idea for a little series idea, kind of a mini series I'm gonna do, and it was sort of inspired by this time of year. So I was walking through Target the other day, and I noticed like a skeleton hanging up, and we're coming up on Halloween. This seems to be the time of year where there's kind of a fascination with death and ghost stories and cemeteries and things like that, skeletons, that kind of thing. I mean, even my mom has like a little Halloween candy dish that it's like a skeleton head, and when you put your hand in there, it talks, and it freaks my daughter out. But there's just kind of this weird, morbid fascination this time of year. So I thought I would kind of play off of that a little bit and just talk about stories or times in my life where I almost died. And there's probably a few of them. I haven't really thought too hard, but I definitely know which one happened first. So as I kind of think about them, I'll just go through in the order that they happened and just tell you guys about the times in my life where I almost died. It's weird thinking about how close you can be to death. Sometimes it's just inches away. And so this first story happened when I was probably about 8 or 9 years old. I can't remember exactly, but I was young. I was playing outside, and this is a different time, right? This is back when you could go outside and play with your friends in the neighborhood, and it wasn't like your parents didn't have to worry about you getting abducted or anything. It was, like I said, I'm older, so it's different, right? I lived in a subdivision in Flint, Michigan, and the houses were really close together. Everybody knew everybody, and there was a lot of kids that were about my same age that we used to just roll in packs together, and we'd always be at someone's house, doing something. And so this story happens with me. I'm over at one of the girls' houses across the street. Yes, that's right. I was a ladies' man back then too. I'm just kidding. But I'm playing over there. Like I said, there's a group of us. We hung in packs, right? And we were playing some kind of ball game. That sounds bad, but we were playing like football or baseball or something. We were tossing a ball back and forth, and I can't remember exactly how it was going, but I know it was probably football because it was cooler out. I remember I was wearing like a Michigan like varsity looking jacket thing. I don't know if it was a varsity jacket, but that's kind of what it reminded me of. It had like tight sleeves. I mean, this is late '80s, so I guess that was fashionable back then. But so we were playing this game, and typical for when you're playing as a kid, like ball goes over the fence, like in the sandlot or whatever. It just happens, right? And not an uncommon event. So I first notion in my head is just climb the fence, right? That's what you do when you're a kid. You just scale the fence, go get your ball, and keep playing, right? That doesn't stop anybody. So I'm contemplating climbing this fence, and I'm looking at it, and it's a chain linked fence, and it's pretty tall. It must have been about 8 foot fence, something like that. I don't know, like 2 meters for you European guys, something like that. And I'm looking at it, and at the top of it, it had those little, like at the top of chain link fence, they got those little like death spikes up at the top, right? And those are supposed to prevent you from climbing it. But when you're a kid, man, you don't think about this stuff. Safety is not really a concern in your head. You think you can do anything. You're invincible, right? And so I've scaled this fence before, and I don't know what was different about this day. It was a little bit cooler out. Like I said, I think it was might even have been like dewy, like a little moisture on everything. And so I'm trying to impress the ladies that I'm with, obviously. So I'm gonna scale the fence and get the ball back, be the hero. So I jump on the fence and I start to climb. And like I said, nothing out of the ordinary here. I'm climbing up the fence. I get to the top. I reach my hands over, and just as I do that, both of my feet slip, and they both slip off the fence. Now, what I think happens in my head, because it happens so fast, is I think my hands fall kind of between those spikes, right? And there's like a little space in between them. And, being 8 or 9, your wrists aren't that big, so I fell right between them. And I'm kind of panicking because I'm hanging there. And I finally get my feet back in the fence, and I try to pull my hands out, but I can't pull them straight out. And that's when I realized that I have impaled myself into both wrists on those little death spikes at the top of the fence. So I'm basically punctured in each wrist hanging there. So I pull one hand up and off and another up and off. And at this point, I'm still not experiencing any pain. It sounds like it'd be really painful, but like you get jacked up on adrenaline. So I don't know. I was running on some of this adrenaline fuel, and I felt no pain at this point. And I pull my hands off, and the neighbor girls are like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Because they kind of freaked out. It was I don't know. It probably looked worse from standing back than it did from my angle, just because it happened so fast. I jumped down. And I remember I pulled my jacket back. Like I'm looking at my palm. I pulled my jacket back, and that's when I saw blood just pouring out of this hole in my wrist. And it's just like dripping. It's pouring around my wrist, dripping on the ground. I look at my other wrist, same thing, both wrists. And she goes, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" This is the neighbor lady. And I said, "I need to go home." That's my first thought, is like, "Mommy." So I start walking home. Maybe running, I'm not sure. It was at this point, it's a blur. Pain is starting to set in, so it's starting to hurt a little bit. They're throbbing, and I'm like, I make it home. First thing I do when I walk in is my mom goes, "What's wrong?" I think I might have even been crying at this point. Call me a pussy or whatever, but I was 9. Okay, give me a break. So I'm crying at this point. My mom's like, "What's wrong?" I pull back my wrists. She sees all the blood. I thought she was gonna pass out. She's freaking out. And, of course, she thinks she doesn't know what happened. She's thinking I slit my wrists or something. And I had seen that before, probably in movies or TV shows at this point. I knew what was happening was pretty serious. So she put some cold washcloths on each wrist. I'm putting pressure on it. And I'm sure she immediately jumps in the car, takes me to the hospital. And we go in there, and they kind of rush you right in. When you go in the ER and you're bleeding from the wrists, they don't really make you wait. So they rush me right in. They take a look at it, and that's when they tell me that I somehow successfully missed tearing any of the veins or arteries in your wrist, like the major ones that people, when they're committing suicide, want to slit. If you look at the top of those fences, it kind of is in the shape of a Y, and that little Y went directly around everything that would have really, really made it a bad time for me. So I was inches away, to the left or to the right, from puncturing one of those, and maybe being in some serious trouble. I don't know how long it takes to bleed out from something like that, but it can't be long. I mean, that's a serious artery in your wrist there, or vein or whatever. Correct me if I'm saying this wrong, but I was inches away, centimeters away, left or to the right from that being probably what could have been the end of me, and it was a scary moment. But hey, I'm still here. Call it luck or divine intervention or whatever, but that didn't kill me. So that was the first time I almost died. I hope you guys enjoy this little series. Stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks for watching.